And hello and welcome to episode 98 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. And this episode is being brought to you through the generous support of Jason, who has elected to come and be the latest Patreon supporter. If you'd like to be just like Jason, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 a month upwards. Your support is greatly appreciated.
The Scale Modeler Supply. Certified Australian made, Scale Model supplies a detailed range of premium acrylic paints that have been specifically developed to cater to the scale modeler. Designed to be used straight from the bottle, SMS paints have taken all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake the durable glass bottle and pour and spray for a fast drying and extremely durable result. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, train, car, science fiction or Gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have a colour to suit you. The Scale Modeler is also your one-stop shop for all your weathering, brushes, masking, tools and accessory needs. SMS paint tools and accessories are available either directly from their website, www.scalemodeler.com.au, or through stockists across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore and the US. And as a special bonus exclusive to our On The Bench listeners, you will get 10% off by using the promo code OTB when ordering direct from www.scalemodeler.com.au. So go now. Go to scalemodeler.com.au. We know you won't be disappointed.
And welcome to the show. And in the studio, I've got Ian. G'day, Ian.
G'day, Dave. G'day, Julian. G'day, Benches.
G'day, Julian.
G'day.
We haven't got a topic to talk about this episode.
So we'll just waffle on about anything.
Oh, yeah, well, you did. You're really good at that.
Me? Oh, yeah, definitely.
What should we kick off with? What have you been doing there, Ian? What have you been building?
At the present moment, on the bench, I have a bald...
BALD?
Yep, BALD.
Yep.
Completely bereft of any surface detail whatsoever. 48 scale B26 Marauder.
Ah, you're still working on that.
I've removed every skerrick of detail.
Yeah.
Because I found some plans. I've been looking for ages trying to find a plan drawing that showed the rivet detail. And I finally came across one, and it was in 196 scale. And I've gone, ooh, 196. That's half a 148.
Mm-hmm.
So I copied it
So
at
to the
200%.
So to the listeners out there, we confirm that Ian can do math.
Yep, that's right. I can do math. I just had to use my toes this time. But yeah, and then I blew it up to exactly 148. 200% brings it up to 190 or 148 scale.
Yeah.
And then I put it up against the kit and gone, well, that panel line doesn't belong there. That panel line's not there. Where's that panel line? Half the detail's fantasy.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. There's panel lines that shouldn't be there, and there's other panel lines that are completely missing, and there's bits that just don't make any sense. And so I just thought, nah, that's it. Strip it completely.
This is a monogram kit, isn't it?
Yeah, from 1978 moulding.
Oh, because I know they've got a very loyal fan base, don't they?
Yes.
People
yes.
are like, oh, the monogram kit is still the most shapely accurate.
Oh, shape-wise, it's great.
Yeah, I'm
like,
sure it is.
Especially the wings. The wings, when I put the wing up, the wing section on the plan at 148, it matched to the mill. It was spot on. Fuselage is about 1.5 millimeters shorter than the plans, and not as round at the nose.
Yep.
The nose seems a little bit narrow, but I'm not really fussed. It's very, very minor, so I'm not going to worry about that. But the main thing now is this weekend is getting out the mechanical pencil and marking out where all my panel lines go, and then I can start scribing. Because I got my new tips for my display scribing tool.
Now, how's that tool going?
I gave it a test run this morning.
Yep.
And I showed you guys.
Yeah, you did.
And I've got a 0.4 mil, 0.3 mil, 0.2 mil, and a 0.1 mil tip on it. Now, unlike most other scribers that will scribe in a V shape, these are designed to scribe flat. So you actually get like a flat cross section once you do your scribing rather than like a pointed V shape. So it's more accurate to the original mould.
So you get a square-shaped trench rather than a V-shaped one.
Correct, yeah.
So when you're scribing it, does it build up material at the front of the scribe as you're pulling it across the part?
It's like a little bit of swarf that just curls up and just pops off.
Okay.
So what you do is once you scribe it, give it a little bit of a sand just to get, because of course any scribing you have a little bit of edge. Take the edge off, run a bit of Tamiya extra thin through the line. Perfect.
And the problem I find with scribers is it tends to jump out of the part that you're trying to scribe, the line is trying to scribe along. So how does this one...
Well, what I do is I go very lightly first one.
Yep.
So make sure it's correct. And then I usually give it 2 more semi-light over the top, and that's enough to give you just enough depth.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, all right? Like, when it comes to scribing, people don't really talk about how much pressure you should apply.
Yeah, no, don't gouge it. If you gouge it, that's when it starts jumping out.
And the same goes for like using a rivet tool.
Yeah. Like all tools, let the tool do the job. Don't force it.
Yep.
Do you have to, with the rivet tool, do you actually do multiple passes?
Oh, just the one.
Just the one.
You do. But what I do with the rivet tool is I use a little bit of pressure on it. So I only have to do one, because my main concern is if you drag it back and if you skip a little bit, you're going to have dual amount of rivets.
Do you just
the same line.
freehand it, or do you do it up against
I do it up against a ruler or a bit of dyno tape.
Okay.
That does the job. But yeah, so that's going to be my project for this weekend.
Uber cool.
Yes, have fun. Because it's all in undercoat grey, because I had to undercoat it grey because it's just this really dark green plastic and you just can't see much when you're working on it.
So here's a quick question. Do you do the describe the lines before you put the kit together?
I am, yes.
Yep. Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to be a lot more difficult. This way, I've got it just in the kit component parts.
Yep.
And I just do like top wing section, bottom wing section, then the vice versa with the other ones. And I can do fuselage, tail, engine nacelles. There's a lot of work to be done on the engine nacelles. One of our listeners, I think it was Scott Gentry, gave me a bit of a tip on how to get the top of the nacelles to match up, which I did, and yes, it did a quite good job, even though there still is some gaps. There is a step I noticed on the air intakes, on the 2 air intakes on the top of the nacelle, so that'll have to be filled and taken down and reshaped because the actual Marauder itself didn't have a step there. I think it's just part of their moulding process. But yes, there's a few little corrections to make. But yeah, once that's done, then once I've done the scribing, then I can start stripping the interior and doing the same to the interior and rebuilding the interior. So it's going to be a huge project, but
yeah.
Hopefully by the time it's finished, it should look pretty good.
Very cool. Julian, what have you been up to?
Well, I may as well blow the top on this little secret project I've started.
Ooh.
Although I was mostly keeping it a secret from Dave.
Yes, I know what it is.
Yeah. So I bought the Orange Hobby Pegasus class hydrofoil.
Look at Dave. I think Dave just wet himself.
I've got that.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I've started building it.
Oh.
Well, here we go. Build off. Dave now wants to have a build off.
Mine's half complete.
Is it?
It's sitting on the shelf of doom at the moment.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Why didn't you finish it? Because it hit a whale?
No.
It's got a lot more complex sort of stuff going on it than most ship kits.
It's a beautiful little
because
kit.
it's got like lots of these little boxes and things like all over the top of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's a modern ship, isn't it?
You saw what 70s, isn't it? 70s.
Yeah, 70s. It was the American Navy's experiment with hydrofoil.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was only in service.
It obviously didn't kick off that well.
I think it was in service for like 5 years, and they were like, eh.
They built a few of them.
Yeah, or like somewhere between 6 and 8 or something.
And I think the Israeli Navy perhaps used some of them or something similar. I got in the back of my mind.
In any case, the one I'm going to be doing is the USS Aquila.
Yeah.
Which is the one that hit the whale and cut it into 3 pieces.
The whale or the patrol boat?
No, it hit a whale. It hit a whale near the surface.
Seriously?
Yeah, and cut it into 3 pieces.
Oh, dude.
Everyone got, injured inside.
Yeah.
And ended up going around in wide circles, apparently.
Yeah, because the hydrofoils would have been badly damaged.
Yeah, and it was written off. Like, it was really, really wrecked.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, like the whole hull was like warped and everything.
Yeah. Oh, you can imagine. You've seen what happens when a car hits a cow or something.
Yeah.
Or even had it down here, if you hit a kangaroo, your car's wrecked. So imagine you're in a small hydrofoil and you hit a whale. It's going to do serious damage.
Well, how far along are you on the build?
I've got the hull together, and I've got the foils, if that's what you want to call them, on.
Yes.
The rear foil is like, because it attaches onto pins so that you can have it like with the foils up or down. I haven't got the rear one attached to it because I'll paint them separately because it'll make it easier to do the boot line.
Yep.
Once I got the boot line done, I'll be able to just stick that on.
Well, during our break, I'll have to go and show you mine. I'll dig it out of the shelf of doom so you can have a look.
It's a nice kit.
I know.
I don't think there's any nicer resin, well, probably any like 1/350 scale ship that is as detailed as this out of the box, and it only costs like what $50-$60. Because I mean, it comes from an aftermarket manufacturer, so you don't have to buy anything extra for it.
Everything's all in there.
Yeah. The gun barrel for the little turret on the front is embedded in the resin.
Yes.
So you don't even need to fix it on. It's
like is it a brass barrel? Or?
Yeah, it's a brass barrel.
And it's already embedded in the resin?
Yeah.
Wow.
My problem is I haven't touched it for so long, I can't remember all the parts.
Whoops.
Well, you've taken everything off the sprues, have you?
Yeah, I think so.
That's just a little bunch of... It looks like debris. This looks like a whole bunch of little boxes that you have to go...
I don't know. I've got to... I'll have to find... yeah,
Dave,
okay.
What I do with the Marauder
Yep.
is I took every part off the sprue. But then I categorised every part and put them in separate boxes.
Yeah, but see, the problem...
And that way I know that those bits go into that section and it's a lot easier to figure out what part goes where rather than just undo all the bits and throw it in a box.
Yeah, I know.
The thing is, like, those bits are essentially like a whole bunch of little 1 mil cubed, cubes.
Yeah. So what?
And they're just like if you put them all together, you would have something that's like really tiny, even like together.
A midget's Rubik's cube.
It just looks like a bunch of like offcuts, from where you've been, cleaning sprue nubs off.
So what, in that sort of situation, what you do, Dave, is you get a bit of cardboard, get your tomato tape, roll it over so it's got sticky on both sides, stick it down, put each individual part on top of there and get a pencil and write on the cardboard what the part number is.
Yeah, I know, but
that way you won't lose them, and you know what part's what.
Hey, Julian, he's telling me how to close a gate after the horse is bolted.
But it's common sense, Dave.
Well, when I was building it, I didn't expect it would be a shelf queen. And it wasn't because there's anything wrong with it. It's because I got distracted by other stuff. And never got back
to get distracted.
Oh, shiny.
Yeah, okay. Well, actually, that's a good thing to talk about. But before we talk about that, there is something...
Yeah, that's right. Hey, before we talk about that, let me finish talking about my damn shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Anyway, so the kit itself doesn't actually have much in the way of instructions.
No.
It just says, paint the hull light grey and paint the deck dark grey. Right? It doesn't tell you anything else.
No.
And as far as like the actual deck colours go, it just got dark grey, nothing else. Slap this decal on the front and that's it.
You know what?
But I've had to look because I've got the photo, like the beautiful photo from Wikipedia, which is really high resolution, unlike most Wikipedia images, and it's from above and it shows the deck, and it shows all the non-slip areas, and there's 2 different deck colors. There's the areas that are non-slip and there's the areas that are not.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to do a tricky job of masking them all off.
Well, you're going into a lot more detail than I think I went into. During the break, I'll pull it out and I'll show you where I am at with it.
Well, like any ship, they repainted the decks in different ways, and you got to pick which one is supposed to be the more appropriate.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. And like, for example, the instructions call for the little ray dome thing on the top to be white, but in the one I'm doing, it's just grey.
Yep.
But there are other things that are white, and I'm going to I've got some ideas for some of the
It's always
others,
good to throw a splash of colour here and there.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
Take away from just the stark greyness.
Yeah, so there's some little tiny boxes and stuff on top of the superstructure are white.
You're going to put wild gizzards and blood over it as well?
my old man said that you're gonna do that. I was gonna. Nah, I'm like. It's funny. Like you look at like these hydrofoils, and like as they get aged, they just rust all down those vertical things for the foils.
Yep.
And they'd be so badly pitted too.
They look, even though it's obviously rust, they look like they're made out of bronze or something.
Yeah, you'd find it'd be the cavitation, and that'd be slightly given all those little minute little pits everywhere.
Oh.
And once that happens with the seawater, well, it's just going to rust like crazy. There's no stopping it. That's why they have to. It's the same problem they have with most boat propellers. After a while, you've got to throw them out because they're just that badly pitted.
Yep.
Through cavitation of the water. And as you know, with cavitation, all the cavitation is just micro air bubbles.
Exploding. Collapsing, yeah.
Collapsing
Yep.
and beating up against it the whole time. And yeah.
Yep, absolutely. That's why they make the props out of brass to
Correct.
get them to last longer.
Yes, because steel blades would just break within 12 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. I've got are you finished?
Yeah.
Good, because I've got an apology to do. So, if you remember, Will Patterson, and by the way, happy birthday, Will.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it was a couple of days ago.
Oh, my apologies, Will. Happy birthday, mate.
No, I sent a thing on behalf of all three of us.
Oh, good on
on
you,
his
Dave.
Facebook page.
Thanks, Dave.
I figured you wouldn't be.
Well, I had no idea.
Well, now you can retract your happy birthday.
I'll still say happy birthday, Will. He's a good bloke.
Anyway, as you guys may recall, Will Patterson, through Masterpiece Models, sent us a Benchmate jig for aircraft.
Oh, it's a great thing too.
And we got one each. Also, a couple of other little goodies in there. There was some rulers and stuff.
Yes.
So anyway, the other day, Dave says, okay, I'm going to get rid of the box now. And lucky that I'm very particular about putting the right stuff in the recycling. So as I was going through the box, I found another little thing in there that I didn't realise was in there. And it was actually they call it the Mottle Master. It's a weathering stencil.
Correct.
And I thought, oh, geez, I didn't even get to mention that. So I'm mentioning it now, that Masterpiece Models do a Mottle Master weathering stencil. And I've given you guys...
Yep.
Just share it between you two so you guys can play
Julian's
with it.
got one, I've got one,
Yeah.
So I have not well, I'm not at the stage of using it yet, but I'll be definitely giving it a go on the Marauder.
Yeah,
So-
I've been meaning to get one for a while now because they've been pretty popular. There's like competitor products from all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
I've got, just for the listeners who don't know, it's like it gives you a mottling effect on, it's a stencil so you can replicate a mottling effect on like weathered sort of effect on naval aircraft.
It's sort of like a whole bunch of squiggles laser cut through a material. This one seems to be like a slightly sort of rubberish sort of material.
I would have said
It's
wood.
kind
It's
of-
like a very thin cork.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a kind of a rubbery texture to it. Vinyl-y, maybe? I don't know what it's made out of, but it's...
I thought it was like a thin cork.
I've heard, because Ushi have a photo etch one.
I've got the Ushi one.
Yeah. And have you tried it?
No. And the thing I like about the Masterpiece Model one over the Ushi one is the Model Piece Master has like a handle you can hang on to.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the Ushi ones don't. And so you'd have to use tweezers or something sort of just to... Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
hold it.
you know, the Ushi one's a square, whereas this is a more... Well, there's
One
two...
you've
there's-
got's pointed.
Yeah, the one I got is sort of pointed, so it looks like a sugar scoop or something.
Whereas mine looks like a spanking handle.
What are they called?
You've been a very naughty boy.
the hazing paddle.
Yeah, the hazing paddle.
Yeah. So and then there's like the really old ones, the ones that first appeared on the market, which are like laser cut out of like wood or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're very big from my understanding.
Yeah.
And
Whereas these are a perfect size.
yeah, well, that's the thing. When you're buying these things, you often see just an image of what the pattern looks like, and it's hard to know how big
Exactly.
the actual squiggle holes are, and that can change how.
And the good thing
you
about these
airbrush it.
is the hole size. They're all different sizes. Everything's a different size and shape. And
Well,
it really gives you that real random effect.
what I'll
in
do is
you want.
I'll post a picture to our Facebook page. And again, thank you to Will
Yep.
and Masterpiece Models for that. So it's
Yes, very much.
cool.
Thank you.
Definitely. Big thanks.
Now, also what arrived in the mail this week was from Canada. We have the kit for the Musuru Cup for this year's Musuru
It
Cup.
took its time getting here, didn't it?
Well,
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It's COVID.
Oh, I thought it was like, sent like 8 months ago or something.
So what is it, Julian?
So it's the, from Mini Art, it's the 1/35th scale FL 282 Calibri. This is the, or at least on the box art, this is the version that is not enclosed at the nose. This is tube frame, whereas the Americanized one is enclosed at the front. This one's got like the Russian markings on it.
Yeah, so Russian or German.
Yeah, well, it's one of those late war German experimental helicopter things.
So Julian's going to be building this for On the Bench, and you're going up against Stuart. Stuart's building his for his podcast.
Yep.
Yes.
In the Musuru Cup.
So I'm going to have to shelve my well destroyer.
No. You've got until. Let me think now. Stuart said Heritage Con is in their spring in Canada, so you got until our autumn.
Okay, so that's
Well, that's only about-
two
that's-
seasons away.
No.
Oh, no.
One
Because we're in
season away.
One season away.
Well, was
We're
it
nearly in
Monday?
summer. We're still in spring.
Tuesday's the beginning of summer here in Australia.
Yeah.
So that's 3 months.
It won't take you long to knock that together.
I guess. I opened up the box and there's actually not much inside. It's a surprisingly very little plastic involved kit. But that said, it's pretty detailed. So
You'll have fun with it.
Well, that's all right. Not much inside will match your skill level.
my
won't
main
it?
concern is how do I get this thing to not be a tail sitter?
There's
I mean-
plenty of build reviews, so I'm sure you're going to be...
Just weigh out the barrel in the middle.
yeah.
The problem is there's an engine in there and it can be seen.
Well, fill the engine with shotgun pellets. If you want some shotgun pellets, I've got a big bag full. They're tiny. They're about 1.5 millimeters
Okay.
balls.
Well, I think there might be some space at the because even though it's partially enclosed, I think there might be a bit of space at the bottom. So maybe I can get it in there. But like I said, I don't know what exactly. It depends on how it looks from the rear.
Yep.
Because from the front, it looks like it's enclosed at the bottom half, which looks kind of like it could be that's where they put the fuel. In which case, that'd be a perfect place to put the weight. But even then, that's not that far forward, And that tail is actually really big.
You're a master model builder. You'll figure it out.
All right.
Just put a little bladder in there in the tail with a bit of helium.
Worst comes to worst, I'll just stick it to a little base, a little tiny base.
Can I quickly interject?
Sure.
Before I totally forget.
Yep.
Now, with the Marauder, I originally did some panel scribing a couple of weeks ago, just straight over the top of the original panel lines because I was going to be lazy, and then I discovered that they were all wrong. So I had to putty them holes up, them channels up. Now, I was originally going to use putty, but you can't scribe properly over putty.
Correct.
So Julian and I were talking about it, and I decided to make some sprue goo.
Yes.
Out of the monogram sprue gates. Word of advice to anyone making sprue goo, if you're making it from the same kit, put some colour in it. I didn't. And so when you got dark green sprue goo over the exact same colour, dark green plastic, it makes it really hard to see what you're doing. Lesson learnt.
Dark green's not very conducive to seeing what you're doing in the first
Exactly.
place.
And then when you're putting exactly the same colour sprue goo over the top of it,
So you're going to add some Indian ink or something to it?
yeah, next time, I'll just add a couple of drops of ink just to darken it up.
Very cool.
Because I will be using it again, especially around the tail section, because the tail section's a woeful fit.
Ah, okay. Very cool.
And how is your sprue goo adventures?
Yeah, all right, yeah. The wings are all done. They're all undercoated now, so they look perfect now. Just took a while, because it's the first time I used it, I put it on a bit thick.
Oh, yeah.
So it took a fair bit. It's not like sanding putty. You're sanding the plastic over the top of plastic.
Yeah.
So you had to. What I did is I just grabbed the motor tool and just roughly went over the top and knocked the top down, and then just used some flat sanding blocks and nicely put the curve back
Something
in.
that I've been sort of quite mindful of lately is how long it really takes for like Tamiya extra thin to properly like finish doing what it's doing.
Yeah,
So
I noticed that with the nacelles because I put some sprue goo on the nacelles and the sprue goo was still pretty fresh and actually did a bit of melting around the back of the nacelle.
yeah, because it'll dry on the outside, but then just below the surface, it's not quite there yet.
Correct, yeah. But now it's been sitting there for well over a week. It's fully dry and hard and ready to rock and roll.
Okay.
Should we get into some listener mail?
That sounds like a great idea, Dave.
We got heaps of listener mail to get through.
Sounds good.
First one comes from John Marley, and John, we're wishing you a best regards for your recovery. I know you're doing well and coming back fighting fit, which is really good to see. So anyway, John writes in and says, warm regards, Dave and Ian, and a begrudging silent nod in Julian's general direction.
Sounds like I did the trick then.
I'm going to ignore the request to become a card-carrying member of Julian's Jewels following his comment that all Airfix and Matchbox kits should be scrapped, recycled, pulped, burnt and shredded to make way for better kits.
Well, actually, I didn't put it that way, but I'm glad you did because that echoes my sentiment perfectly.
Well, John continues, I've recently completed the 1/72nd scale Airfix BAC Lightning and I've very much enjoyed it. I knew it had fit issues before I purchased it, but why should that stop me? If I waited for the perfect Lightning kit to be produced, I'd never see it. If we all follow Julian's logic, the only build perfect fitting and most accurately detailed and critically acclaimed kits would all be building the same 20 or so models. Bugger that.
No, someone else would have done one by now. I mean, it's not like Airfix make the best Tornado, do they?
No. He goes on to say that last year he threw together a Matchbox Lysander and had fun building that. And after listening to our last episode, he picked up the Lysander and flew it around the bloody garage, making all the appropriate plane noises. Hope Julian's squirming right now. Keep squirming, Nate. Peace and mug beans from Bob.
Mug beans or mung beans?
It says mug beans.
Okay.
Mung beans. Sorry, mung beans. Yeah.
I'm not sure what that actually means. I'm sure there's like some kind of like...
Peace, love and mung beans, man.
Oh, right. Okay. I get you.
Oh, jeez. James Kaluta writes in, hello, Dave. Well, loving the podcast as usual, but he has a few questions. He wants to know what the heck you can do with an airplane canopy with scratches, how to fix it, how to get rid of scratches and scuffs. He's recently tried using a small buffing wheel on a rotor tool. It was useful, but didn't totally remove the scratches.
Means you didn't go deep enough?
Unless the scratches are way too deep.
Yeah.
It can get to the point where it can't be salvaged sometimes. Maybe try a bit of gauzy or something over the top.
Well, you might just
dip it in some gauzy, what do they call that gauzy stuff that
I know.
they use for the canopies.
Yeah.
That might help fill it in.
Well, see, I'd be inclined to just sort of look at it, and if they're, not ridiculously deep, just maybe sand it down until you've got like a proper like smooth surface enough to work with, and then you polish it from there. So
let's give him some advice. So what type of sandpaper would you use? What grit would you start with and go down to?
I'll probably start with something like 1,000.
Yep.
And then work all the way down to about 2,000.
Using wet sandpaper?
Definitely.
Yep.
Wet, soapy water.
Yep.
Warm, wet, soapy water. Yep.
And go from 1,000 and then go up.
Yeah, keep going up, gradients till you get to the finest you can find. Now, I do know that Infinity sells polishing sticks up to 7,000. It does, I've got one at home and I've used it, and it doesn't look like it does a thing. It's that thin. It's like you may as well be rubbing silk against it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I used when I was prior to polishing. That's what I used on my clear coats on my car.
Yep.
Car kits. Yeah. That does the trick. You can actually sort of see the difference. Like you start working on that smooth glossy surface, and it looks glossy because it's paint, right?
Yep.
And you've painted it glossy. So you use that, and you can see like it's like after you wipe it clean take the water off it because you're wet sanding, right? You can actually see if it's all unified.
Yep.
Right? If it's actually attacking all of the surface. And then if it's not, you just keep on going until it looks all unified.
Yep.
And then after that, you just hit it with polish and it just comes up glossy as anything.
Because the thing with polishing, it doesn't happen straight away. It's one of those processes that can take a while to get through, to complete.
What about the other difficulty with doing the canopy is you get the potential to sort of crack it or something. So how do you stop that happening?
Well, you don't be a gorilla when you're doing it for starters, Dave. As I said before with scribing, you let the tool do the job for you. Don't put pressure on it. Just let it let the. When you're looking like sandpaper, all you got is a flat sheet of paper with these little tiny little stones, or I'll call them stones, little bits of grit. Now, even by just lightly running over the top, that's still doing its job. The harder you press, the more you jam the material into the grit. Thus, you create balls, what they call balls. You get ball up of material on the sandpaper, which if you're not quick enough to notice, you do another swipe and you put another big gouge down your canopy. Then you're further behind for where you started. It's canopy polishing. I've done it a couple of times and I try to avoid it as much as possible because it is such a time-consuming task.
And another way, because canopy is usually sort of U-shaped, so you can get some blue tack or similar material and put it up in the U section just to give it a bit of strength.
Strengthen it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yep. But you don't, as I said, if you're doing it properly and carefully and not applying pressure, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And also, like, sort of, there's only so much we can tell you because, like, every canopy is different.
Yeah, every material's different.
And the shape is different. The thickness is going to be different. Like, there are some of those Hasegawa canopies that are so skinny, so thin that they look great on the model, but they'll crack if you look at them.
Yep.
You can't apply any kind of pressure to them. Like, and then in that case, I don't know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Get another one.
Well, I found the scariest canopy I had to work with was actually with the new Edward, the rear canopy for the new Edward Mustang.
Oh, really?
Because you got to actually force that over the top of the fuselage to actually click it into place. And you got to put a lot of pressure in, like you go, this is going to crack. I'm going to hear this go crack any second, but popped into place. But boy, it's a bit of a sweaty hand job, that one.
Well, there you go, James from California. I hope that helps you with your question on regards to your canopy.
Yep.
Let's see, next one we got Tom from Sweden. Hello, Tom from Sweden.
Hello, Tom.
Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to sort of... I love IKEA. Just saying it, hand on heart.
You're a sad case, Dave.
Hey, look, the Swedes made some of the most sexiest looking aircraft.
You're talking about like the Saab.
Oh, the Saab Viggen and the Saab...
Tunnan.
what's one? Dragon. Was it the Dragon?
Draken.
Draken, yeah.
And don't forget the Tunnan.
I do like the Saab aircraft. They're quite cool. Especially the splinter camo.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yep.
Didn't think much of their S-tanks, but then again...
S-tank is cool. I like the S-tank.
Well, it's good for a purely sort of defensive tank, but
it's the modern day Stug.
It is, yeah. It is, yeah. It is a modern day.
Do you know we've actually got an S-tank up the road here? Up at Puckapunyal.
Okay.
Because Australia actually bought one. We were for testing. Now, let me get this right. Is it when we were looking at replacing the Centurion? Mm-hmm. We bought an S-tank and we tested it. And because we bought it, we kept it, and now it's in the museum up there.
Yeah. It was going really well. Everyone loved it until the wombat started jumping over the top of it.
Right.
And they've gone, this is just too low. Boom.
Yeah, but anyway, I quite like the S-tank just because it's almost like a...
It's a wedge, isn't it?
Well, it's a wedge, but it's also got like a dozer blade on the front, so it can push the earth up in front of it and really hunker itself down.
Yep, for added protection.
So it's kind of I kind of see it like a Bobcat, like an earth-moving vehicle, and with a gun attached to it. And it's got like 3 crew, an auto loader for the gun because it's they can't get in the back there to throw the ammunition in, so it just does it automatically. And it's got that big, long, sloping front and 2 engines.
It's got 2 engines.
Yeah, it's got I think like a diesel or something, and the other one's a turbine.
All right. Cool.
So it can switch from one to the other.
All right, so getting back to the mail, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, I've got to pass that one. Oh, this is a really interesting
Hang on,
one.
we didn't even get to what he was saying.
Oh, no, Tom and I have been talking about a possible idea for another segment in which we're investigating down the track. So I just wanted to call out and say, hey, Tom.
Oh, okay.
Next one, Jay Sanchez writes in. Oh, this is really interesting. He says, hi, guys. I wanted to share my paint drying booth. It's a food dehydrator. For small parts, I just place them in dehydrator shells and put the cover on. For large parts, I place them in the dehydrator, but place a plastic bin on top. I raise the bottom of the bin on one edge to let the air out. It works great and keeps the dust off. Love the podcast. Keep up the great work. And that's Jay from Minnesota, USA.
What a great idea.
I would never have thought of using a food dehydrator to... Yeah.
What a great idea.
He sent a couple of pics. I'll have to remember...
I'll have to look at those pics.
Yeah,
Because
stick them on our Facebook
I don't know what a
page.
I don't know what a dehydrator looks like.
It's kind of like a round basket thing, and it sucks all the juice, or the juice, you
All the
idiot.
moisture.
all the moisture out of the food. And people use it for drying flowers and all that sort of stuff as well.
Okay.
So
Sounds very good.
it does sound good.
Yeah, another thing to take up space on the bench.
Another tool, another electrical thing to use.
In the last 5 years, there's been that many sort of appliances and things that sort of have become
I know. It's
worthy of modelling. That you sort of go, well, how much bigger is this bench going to have to get?
Exactly.
The ideal modelling bench, because there's no way I've got any space on my bench at the
No,
moment.
my bench is so full, it's not funny.
Michael Thompson from Johannesburg in South Africa writes, hello, Dave, Ian and Julian.
Hello.
I must say the last episode of the podcast was one of the best ever. The Golden Spur Award results were really interesting, and I must report that even one of our local hobby shops was advertising that they stocked the Golden Spur Award winning Armour Hobby FM2 Wildcat. Well, it came out a few days after the podcast was over, so it really has a global reach. The discussion on what makes a collector versus a modeler was also fascinating, and I must say I'm guilty of possibly becoming the former, much to my own dismay.
Shame.
I thought about what I said on that podcast, and I'd just like to say that if it sounded like I was coming down too hard on people who just collect kits and don't build them, it's because I want those people to actually build them, right? Like, enjoy your kits. You bought them already. Just enjoy them, right?
Yeah. He continues on, the philosophical discussion about collectors versus modelers made my mind wander to another question that I've often pondered. What exactly it is that people are fascinated by making models? What makes us want to own a scale miniature of a real-life object? Is it something primal inside of us? Maybe you could open that topic up for a future podcast. And that's all from Michael. Well, that's a really good question. Building a model, for me, it actually allows me to sort of, in fact, own a piece of a history or something that's really cool.
Yeah, I do get a feeling of that too. Like, it's not like you've gone, oh, there's the crashed Heinkel 111 that's crashed in my English cornfield or whatever it is, and I'm going to go over there and pull a piece off it to keep as a souvenir. It's not like that kind of own a piece of it.
And it's not like I'm ever going to own a Sherman tank or have the funds to do that. So yeah.
So it's kind of like, I like this kind of vehicle, and I want a representation of it that I can look from a bird's eye view and admire how cool it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just like the process.
I do. I like the process.
I like the
too.
process of building for myself. I'm creating something.
Oh, there's
I'm
that part of it too,
I'm
yeah.
starting off with a box of bits, and at the end of it, I've got something that doesn't look like a box of bits anymore. Now it actually looks like either a certain aeroplane or a certain tank or a certain ship or a certain car. It's just, I can't give birth. This is my way of giving birth. Right? So this is my way of creating.
Have you seen the movie Twins?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, you're saying you're Danny DeVito and I'm
All right. Any case, so my dad
Next subject.
my dad was a mechanic, right?
Yep.
And from from a young age, he was always getting me things like Lego.
Oh yeah, I
To
cut
build.
my teeth on Lego when I was a kid. Yeah,
So
that
like,
got me in
I sort of became like hooked on like constructing things. Mm-hmm. You know,
Yep.
things that are a manageable size.
Yes, that
And
or
that-
Meccano.
Yeah,
Meccano was a good starter
Oh,
as
see,
well.
I only ever got one Meccano set, and my dad was because my dad also liked Meccano a lot. He didn't have Lego growing up, but
Oh, of course,
like,
the Lego wasn't around.
And so he got me one of those. And he's like, "Oh, check this out!" And I was sort of like, "This seems like a really cumbersome way to build something. Give me some more Lego instead."
Yeah, but the thing with Meccano is you got to use little spanners and bolts and nuts and
Yeah,
it
and
actually
everything,
felt like
and
you were-
everything sort of slides around at like vague angles until you. Yeah, it's just cumbersome.
Oh, I enjoyed it. But then I got into Lego like you got into Lego, and from Lego I went to plastic models.
Yeah, same.
I started Meccano, Lego, and then plastic models.
Yep.
I don't understand people who have Lego and they'll buy it, they'll build it in one day, and then they'll stick it on a shelf.
What's wrong
Yeah.
with
It's
that?
like, no, but like the whole point of Lego is that you can take it apart and put it back together again.
Yeah.
These people, like, say the Lego thing that they bought will fall off a shelf after they built it, and they'll be like, "Oh no!" It's like, why are you oh knowing, right? Just put it back together.
Yeah.
Everything just clicks back together.
It's Lego.
For me to be like, "Oh no, now I have to build this thing again." Oh dear. There goes my weekend.
yeah.
You know, I'd enjoy that process, but these people like they treat their Lego like models is what they do.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Like once it's broken, it can't go back together again.
No.
But that's
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
point of
yeah.
Lego is that
Yeah.
you can just break it down and build other things.
Exactly, yeah.
yeah. But if you, let's face it, if you're buying a Millennium Falcon and it falls off the shelf and breaks, you're not going to go, "Oh well, I'm going to build something else out of it now," are you?
Yeah, I would.
You would.
Yeah, of course I would.
Have you seen how much those things go for?
A
Yes,
lot.
actually I have. There's a certain Lego Millennium Falcon that if you have it and it's not opened, will sell for $15,000.
Dave goes, damn, I should have opened it.
No, damn, I should have bought it. I had the chance.
There's more than one, so it has to be the right one.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let the right one in. Sorry, it's a reference to a vampire movie. Anyway,
Right.
let's move on. Paul K writes in and says, "Okay, I learned a lesson on using petroleum-based rattle can paint. I decanted the paint and it makes an incredible finish, but you cannot use panel line paint because when you use tester solvent to clean over the paint,
It
on the
takes the
panel
paint
line,
away.
it removes the decanted paint.
Yes.
I cleaned the model 3 times and started over, then smashed it into a bunch of bits."
Now, a lot
Now
of people,
that this-
a lot of
this-
people will say you can't, but you can because I've done it hundreds of times. You can put acrylic paint over automotive enamel, and if you put your acrylic paint over automotive over the enamel, you don't have a problem with the weathering products.
He goes on to ask, because he's actually got 8 of the P51s. He bought 8 of them. Obviously, he's planning to smash.
Which P51?
The Tamiya P51 doesn't
Oh,
say which
yep.
ones.
Oh, they're so cheap.
Well, that's what he says. They're about $30 each. So obviously, he's planning to smash a few into the future.
No, he's learned.
But he
his
goes on to say, my question is, well, this is the question: how do I get a nice metallic-looking finish? What are the sanding and painting tips for this?
Well, sanding and painting tips is basically, if you're going to do a metallic finish, is have it as shiny and as polished as possible, black base, and then put your metallics over the top.
Yes. So the thing about metallics is that they will show up any kind of
yeah.
surface blemish.
Exactly. The smallest mark, it will jump out at you.
So the kind of effort you would put into like removing a fuselage seam line, you better put 3 times more effort into that.
Exactly, because it will stand out.
Yeah.
It will stand out.
And then when it comes to the black base, it doesn't really matter what that black base. It doesn't have to be Alclad black base. It can be any kind of enamel paint. It can be any kind of lacquer paint, as long as it's glossy.
And as long as it's smooth and polished.
Yeah. To be honest, even the color doesn't really matter, as long as it's as smooth and shiny as you can sort of get it.
Yeah.
I've,
But what I found is, for protecting it, I found the Alclad Aqua gloss. doesn't take that metallic feel. Normally, I remember a while ago, you do a really nice metallic finish. You want to protect it, so you put a clear coat over the top, and it goes to silver. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you use the Alclad Aqua Gloss, for some reason, it still stays. It looks metallic, but it gives you that extra protection.
And just backpedaling to what you guys said about having black underneath metallic, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I don't think you have to.
I do.
No.
I do. It just makes the metallic just jump out so much better.
No, I've done both ways. And actually, Hamish, I was talking to Hamish, one of our club members, and he built a motorcycle with an aluminium frame, and he just sprayed the.
He sprayed a gloss, just a gloss clear over the
plastic.
bare plastic.
Yeah.
And then he just Alcladded on top of that.
Yeah, it came up sensational.
Like I said, it's less important that the color doesn't really matter.
It's the finish
more
underneath.
it's the surface finish.
Right.
That does it. Because like the idea, I think, is that metal is supposed to be quite smooth, and to get that sort of finish, you need like that forms the basis for what goes on top.
Yeah.
Right?
And I have to say, I've been having a lot of trouble with my Alclad Gloss Black lately. It's just taking forever to go off, and still tacky weeks later. I don't know what the heck's going on with that.
Yeah, because like roughly 50% of all batches that came out of their factory will never cure.
Oh, I think I might just toss this.
This is why I always tell people don't use that stuff. And it's an enamel, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So it's even more annoying, because at least if it was a lacquer and it didn't cure, you'd be able to tell within a minute.
Yeah.
Right, but with an enamel, you're supposed to wait a long time, and you're like, well, I've waited 2 weeks now instead of just the 1 week.
I just use myself, when I use I use Guns Gloss Black, H2.
Yeah. See,
That works perfect, and put some leveling thinners in it, and it goes out really nice and smooth and perfect finish.
Yeah. See, my one that I've got sitting there ready for my next Alclad project is the Guns GX2, which is their special lacquer gloss.
Yep.
It's basically the black version of the gloss clear that I use.
Oh, right, yep. Oh, very cool.
Next one comes from... let's have a look now. It's Brandon Walters from Canada. And Brandon writes in, "Hey guys, great episode as always on the model collecting versus model building. I just want to say that model collectors are a menace to model builders.
Here.
They tend to collect quality models and tempt us builders to increase our stashes. I was putting in an order for a special hobby, Meteor, and asked my model collecting brother-in-law if he wanted anything. Well, he had his eye on the 132nd Fly Hurricane 2 tropical version. It looked pretty good now, and now I'm expecting a package with the 2C and the 2D for myself, which was listed as well. Anyway, I'm curious about what you have to say about people who are in that pre-model builder stage. For instance, my brother-in-law, who has a huge collection and is just waiting until he gets a big enough space to set up and begin building. What? So he's got a huge collection. He hasn't even started building it. He's just waiting for that right time. Are they model collectors, or are they model builders on a sabbatical? Cheers from Brandon.
Or are they just procrastinating?
Well, Brand, gee,
They're just people who own a bunch of stuff. That's all they are.
And look, I don't mind people collecting. That's fine if that's your gig. But, at some point you've got to build. It's like, these people who wait to have a baby. They wait until they've, paid the mortgage off, or they wait until they got the promotion at work. There's no point in waiting. Just go ahead and do it,
Okay.
Bugger the consequences.
Yeah, exactly right.
Have you ever seen Idiocracy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah, so at the very start, it's got like this introduction where it, like, supposedly the
clever people.
It sort of shows like the difference, when it comes to having children of between the sort of trashy trailer park kind of people and the intelligentsia type people, right? And then the very smart and academic sort of couple, they're all like they keep waiting and waiting. Oh, the economy's not good. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. And then eventually the guy dies, and she's like, oh, but and then the woman's like, oh, I've I've had my stuff frozen, and it's just as long as the right guy comes along, and she's already like an old haggard woman,
Whereas a trailer parks, they're already on
they've
sixth
got,
generation or something.
6 generations down the road, and it's like sort of showing him and spats between like the various women in the trailer park.
And you know what? We're only on this planet for one ride, so you know what? You better build now because you ain't going to get a second chance.
Exactly. Who knows? Your eyesight might go. You might get tremors in your hands, and then you'll be buggered.
Yeah. Well, what happens when you've been saving up all those winged up wings kits that you've bought, and then you have an accident and you lose a finger? What are you going to do then?
Yeah, exactly.
You sell them for the huge outrageous profit that you're going to make on them.
If you're smart, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally agree.
So I saw online someone has decided to build their Felix Stowe.
I saw you writing on Facebook about that. You insulted him.
No, I did not.
You said it's ugly.
No, I just find that the Felix Stowe as a kit is never as impressive as you think it's going to look.
I don't know. I reckon it look great.
So you insulted. He was crestfallen after he read that.
No, this is purely my opinion from someone who's seen one built. Right, it was far less impressive. It was more like I remember when Ian brought in his, like when he'd first bought it, right, and we went through the plastic and it was like really impressive stuff. It's really like it's classic wingnut wings.
Yeah,
really, really impressive model. But then I saw one built. I was like, it kind of looks like a box kite, It's just like this huge pair of wings and not much else. Because like the wings are like, 80% of the kit.
Well,
in any case, I applaud him anyway. I may not have said this, but I do applaud him for actually building the damn thing. Because can you imagine how many wingnut wings people, or people who have wingnut wings kits, I should say, are just like clutching onto them, hoarding them for some...
What rainy day?
What's the rainy day? Like when are they going to finally start building them? When someone picks up all the molds? If someone picks up all the molds, no.
Then you get people in my situation where you just got limited amount of space, so the big kits just have to be put on hold till you get a bigger place.
So
can you imagine?
It's the biological version that would be freezing your swimmers waiting for an opportune time to.
Yeah. Well, I've
procreate.
got some big kits. I've got the Felix Stowe. I've got the 24 scale Hellcat. I've got 48 scale Catalina, Liberator, Super Fortress.
Yeah, the 48 scale Liberator.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
man! I would love to see that Catalina build, but where do you put it?
Where am I going to put it? Yeah, it's massive. Like even the Marauder I'm building now, I'm going to have to throw out a lot of kits just so I can put it in the cabinet.
Dude, don't you dare throw anything out without consulting me, because I'll find plenty of room here for it.
That really shit. That really annoys me. It rustles my jimmies, as they say.
It rustles your jimmies. Jeez, you're getting old timey now, Julian.
No. Well, it became popular. Rustle my jimmies became popular on the internet. Like I don't know, like 5-10 years ago or something. Okay. As an ironic thing as an ironic nod to the way the old guys used to say things like that.
Well, Jiminy Cricket.
And anyway, basically, it really annoys me because like people, it's like the guy that collects a whole bunch of stuff, like say model kits, and then he dies, and then rather than the person who has to take charge of all that stuff, rather than them go, well, you know what, if I look into it, I can probably sell this for $10,000, right? Instead, they just like do a garage sale and sell them off for $5 a pop.
Or worst case scenario, put it in a skip.
Yeah, exactly. Or the worst thing, they throw it away, right? See, like my dad, being a mechanic, he knows like guys he knows, like they died, and all of their possessions, like decades worth of old tools that are indestructible. And they all just probably got melted down because whoever like took charge of them basically just sold them off for scrap metal.
Scrap metal, yeah.
And you can't get that stuff anymore.
No.
And all the stuff these days is Chinesium, stuff that breaks.
Yeah,
it's not
true
drop forward steel.
Yeah. It's like
let's move on. Eric from Silicon Valley, California writes in, "Hello benches, I love the episode on power tools. And Will has convinced me to get the Proxon to replace my Dremel. It is now my holiday gift list.
Wow.
humbly offer one more power tool that comes in handy when doing dioramas. It's a miniature table saw by Model Machines LLC. Although primarily marketed to wooden ship and dollhouse modelers, is it modelers who do dollhouses, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a big thing in some
Really?
places, yeah.
He goes to say it is super convenient at cutting wood or 0.060 inch of an inch.
Yep.
I guess it is, or sheet styrene. One has to cut rectangular elements and makes quick work of an otherwise tedious scribing. If you move styrene sheet through smoothly and quickly, there's no melting. The best thing about the saw is how little space it takes up. Extremely well made and precise. I can't wait for the 100th episode. I'm also looking forward to your experience with the stencil cutter. I'm curious if it is a solution good enough for 1/72 scale. Regards, Eric.
Ooh, 1/72 scale might be pushing it. Because, I mean, if we're talking like the little tiny codes, that's a bit too small.
Yeah, it
in
might be a bit
72nd
small,
scale.
yeah.
It's probably it's acceptable in 48. You know, like the little codes on the tail at the 5 digits or something
Yep.
or more, 6 digits, whatever. That's acceptable, but 72nd scale, it'd only be good for the larger markings.
Yeah. I'd say you're probably right there, yeah.
We're still going to buy some paper for it yet. And I'm still going to pay you $100 yet. Damn it.
You slacker.
I know. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
DD writes in and she says, hi guys, great to hear you're all back together. Another milestone getting back to some sort of normalcy in this crazy COVID world. Just a quick question. Could somebody explain to me the simplest method of salt weathering? I have watched several videos on it on YouTube and each one seems to be different. Which way actually works? Please help.
So I've never done it. I've never ever done salt weathering.
So I think, and I don't know if this is necessarily true, but I think like the idea behind salt weathering is that you're essentially using salt to create very tiny masks.
Yeah.
And then you just airbrush over the top of it.
Yeah. And
Correct,
then,
yeah.
And then wipe it off when it's finished.
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen and read is you mist it with a bit of water.
Very light misting.
Sprinkle your salt over.
Salt flakes is the best, depending on what sort of pattern you're looking for.
Yep. You don't want the little uniform crystals. You want different shapes.
Yep.
And, let that dry then just paint over the top. And when your paint's dry, just get a stiff brush, and brush it off. And that leaves all your little chips and so forth. But I've never done it.
I've never done it either.
I've never done it that way.
No.
So I'm just saying from what I've seen and heard. But
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's an older method.
An oldie-timey method.
And, well, the good thing about it is
that
that...
went right over his head.
Yes,
I reckon
it's an old-timey method.
I got a sneaking suspicion that some of our listeners will probably have a drinking game with Julian.
Oh,
every time he
fun.
mentions a certain phrase, there'd be like
old-timey.
Quick shot.
Yep, going to do a quick shot. It'd be a good drinking
Well,
game.
it's a good thing we don't have Dave doing the ubiquitous thing anymore because they'd be sloshed within 15 minutes. In any case, it is an older method, but it does do what you want from really good chipping, in that you're having an underlying metallic or whatever it is layer show through, rather than putting silver paint on top.
Yes,
which if it's not as good. It can be done well, but it's not as good because once you especially when you get cameras on things, like you can really get up close and you'll be able to see like lumps of silver.
Yep.
Whereas if you actually have like an underlying layer showing through, it really does look the part sometimes.
Yeah, but on that case though, like a human eye is not going to pick up as much detail as a digital camera.
It comes down to...
So what we see in a digital camera is more than the average person, including ourselves, is going to see on the kit. Like what we see on the kit looks great, and then we put it under the digital camera and go, oh, there's a fault, there's a fault, there's a fault, there's a fault there.
Yeah, but see, once you've seen it in the camera, you can see it in real life.
Yes. But that's the thing. If you didn't do that, you wouldn't know, and no one else would probably know either.
Yeah.
So thank God judges don't use digital cameras at competitions.
Wait the future. Hey, wait to see what happens in the future.
So when it comes to actual like model photography, on on one hand, because I find it to be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it reveals mistakes you otherwise wouldn't have seen, but you can also hide them with a bit of photoshopping and things like that, or keep cropping them out of frame. And you'd be surprised. Like I've seen like the box art on the side of like I one of the first kits I attempted when I came back to the hobby was the Academy Apache, and I had a lot of trouble with where the engine nacelles were. And how like there's like a seam line you have to clean up on the side, but you have to remove a whole bunch of like vent detail.
Oh, really?
If you want it to get clean, to clean it up. And I noticed that if you try to find a close-up shot of that on the side of the kit used on the side of the box, you can't see it because they've cropped it out of frame. So even whoever did their official model couldn't deal with it.
That reminds me of the old, I think it was Revell 48 scale BF 110. G2 kit.
Is this the one that was squashed down?
Yes, and you look at because the side of the box to make the 110 fit the picture of the 110 fit nicely on the side of the box. They've actually collapsed the front undercarriage forwards. Otherwise, it'd sit way too high.
Yeah,
and you can really and when you look at the box, you go, yeah, they really have done that, haven't they? Sneaky buggers.
All right, next one. We have a message from Paul Alexander Crystal, happens to be one of our Patreon supporters, and he writes in, was listening to the latest and wanted to let you know that I use custom model decals for custom decals. So if and he thought he'd just pass it on as it might be a great tip for others. So the actual address is https://custom-model-decals.com. So apparently you can just go to them and they'll
print them up for you.
So thanks for that, Paul. That's a great little tip.
Yeah, well, those sort of things, it's usually good to get as much out of the print as you can, because I have heard those companies are not cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you want you'll do like one or two A4 pages and you want to fill it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to like go, just print me up this for this one particular aeroplane, because you're paying a fortune.
Yeah.
For one set of decals. You know what I reckon they should do? Someone should have like a decal library that people can go, I want this paint scheme in this scale, and they go to the decal library and people can donate decals they don't use anymore.
Yeah, but somebody's got to set it up and hold it all and be
good job for you, Dave.
No, I'm way too busy for that.
And who's going to pay for the server costs?
I don't know. I was just an idea.
Not me.
No, I'm not going to do it, but I was just an idea. Someone should do it anyway.
All right, next one comes from Roger Foss, who hails from Chico, California. And he says that he's been building for something like 52 years, more or less consistently.
Wow.
Oh, gee, that's huge.
That's very impressive.
Referring to episode 97, a friend and I also investigate estate sales where large numbers of model kits are put up for sale or donation. I think of this as a kind of salvation for these kits, and in at least one case was openly relieved that my friend and I had intervened, as they came across a museum grade 1/16 scale Snopwith Camel kit.
Oh, those things that's the Hasegawa ones.
Yeah, it was the Hasegawa ones. Absolutely,
I've seen one built. Yeah, they're amazing.
The kit was started but never been finished, and even in its incomplete state, it was nevertheless a thing of beauty. I don't know how many times I've told my friend that we were glad that we were there to rescue it, but it's exactly how we felt as if we'd rescued it. As if we'd pulled a prized artefact from the bowels of oblivion.
Well done, guys.
Yeah,
well
thanks.
done.
He also just asked, think of what will happen to all those Wingnut Wings kits that will now probably go unbuilt, and ponder their collective futures. Thank you for the show, gents. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Roger.
Thanks, Roger.
I think those Wingnut Wing kits will be around for a long time.
Yep.
Well, even like nasty, bad kits linger around far longer than you would otherwise think.
That's true. It's amazing how many crap kits are still out there and, pop up for sale and people snap them up.
Yeah, especially like the first edition Airfix kits.
Or frog kits.
Oh, frog kits, yeah. I've got some old frog kits at home that I'm... Yeah, some of them are worth a bit of money, but geez, you open the box and you look at them and go, I don't know what you guys were smoking, but boy, this doesn't look like it. Doesn't like the box art.
Brian Schultz from Wisconsin, the state of beer and cheese.
Yay. We like beer and cheese.
Yes. Just wanted to drop you guys a note and say what a great job you're doing on your podcast. Well, thank you very much for that. I had started building myself a small hobby room in my basement last winter with the idea of getting back into modelling. I hadn't built any kits since I was in my late teens, but still would buy a kit here and there if I liked it. Guess I picked up a good time to sit in my room alone this year as it turned into a bleep fast.
Yep.
I don't really have one subject that interests me as my stash is all over the place: cars, armour, science fiction, and a few aircraft. But sorry, no ships. Once again, great job and keep it up the good work. And P.S. Why on God's green earth has no company picked up the ball and ran all the way to the bank, making some awesome vehicles from Mad Max?
Yeah. My sentiments exactly.
Well, I would wager that it's probably a case of they had the idea. They said, "Can we make a model of the car from your movie?" And they said, "Sure, if you pay us a big sum of money."
Yep.
And they said, "Never mind.
Yep.
I can think of something else."
Yep.
So
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. Like you look at a lot of these companies now, they won't even put the make of what the vehicle is. I remember seeing one. It was a GT40 kit, and they didn't have Ford GT40 or anything. It was just American sports car.
Having said that, there are a couple of Mad Max kits that are out there.
Well, you can get I've got one, the Oshima. I think that's the only one. You can get the Mad Max 1 and Mad Max 2 cars. And that's it. The Falcon. That's all you can get. Like, I actually went out and bought myself a 1/35th scale MAN for a future build where I want to build the Duff wagon from the latest Mad Max Fury Road. Because that'd be a great visual thing to do. All those speakers and the crazy dude with the no eyeballs with the guitar.
That's an ambitious project.
That's a big project. Mind you, the project at the moment is pretty ambitious too.
Well, this must be the month for people from Wisconsin, because the next email comes from Jaden from Wisconsin. Clearly, they must be drinking a lot of beer up there.
And a lot of cheese.
Good move. Hey.
Fancy that, two guys from Wisconsin writing in the same month. Anyway.
What's the bet that it's not fondue style cheese? It's
actually
that's
proper cheese. Yeah. Proper block of cheese.
Exactly right, yes.
Good block of cheese, mate.
Jade says, you may remember me as the fellow who was building the Revell 1-225 HMS Victory when I emailed you back in July. Not the best choice of kit for my second model, but I got it for Christmas last year, so I don't have much of a choice. He's actually making decent progress with the kit, having a lot of fun, which is what it's all about.
Yep.
But he knows that the kit comes with some vacuum form sails. He's just wondering what he can do. He's seen some videos about how to stitch and sew to make sort of realish looking sails, which I think you got to dunk in tea from memory to make them aged.
Yeah, you dunk them in tea. And that would be the way I'd personally, I'd stay away from the vac form sails.
Yeah. Because I tend to agree. You're better off not even putting the sails up there and just having them rigged, having the ship just in its naked rigging, and perhaps have the sails furled.
Yes, which would be so much easier to do. You just got to roll them up, and tie them up.
Well, you wouldn't roll them up because they're vacuum form, but you'd get something. You get some material.
Yeah, calico or something.
Yeah.
Calico would work fine.
It'd
very
work
fine weave calico.
Yep. Very cool. But your show is awesome, and listen to it and makes my homework go away faster. Thank you, Jaden from Wisconsin. If Jaden's saying that he does homework, I'm tipping he doesn't drink beer, so never mind. You'll be old enough one day, Jaden, don't worry.
He's old enough for cheese.
That's true, yes.
You're never too young for cheese.
Well, let's have a break before we dive into what's new. How's that sound, guys?
So like a plan.
Sure. All right, back shortly. Fine Scale Modeller is the world's most recognised and essential magazine for modelers, and is available in all good newsagents and newsstands or wherever you purchase your magazines. Alternatively, go to their website www.finescale.com and subscribe to either a print edition or their digital edition. Go now. Go to www.finescale.com. And we are back to have a look at what's new in the modelling world. And first, cab off the rank is the new Meng, or Mung, whichever way you want to pronounce it, the FA-18E Super Hornet. in 1/48 scale. Coming to a hobby shop near you. Yeah, you know, it's a bug, isn't it? What can you say?
Yeah.
CAD
CAD drawings look really nice.
CAD drawings look absolutely awesome. And, you know...
I'm a little bit disappointed in the canopy because they're doing the old style of where the clear for the forward canopy ends at the edge of the framework for it, rather than it sort of they include like a portion of the fuselage.
Yep.
You know, I much prefer that style of it. You see it a lot more on a lot of Tamiya kits these days, the new tool ones.
Yeah.
Because that way, you know, you don't have to worry about your glue being visible inside the canopy.
Yes.
You know?
Well, this will be interesting to a lot of modelers because a lot of Air Forces actually operate this aircraft. Kit features complete wheel wells, intakes and landing gear with wiring and plumbing, as well as GBU-24 and GBU-14 laser-guided bombs are included, as well as Sidewinder missiles. The flaps are posable down, and the little wingtips fold up, can be displayed in the up position as well.
I noticed that the tips to the missiles have little clear parts.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
That's
really.
a really interesting addition.
Yeah, for the Sidewinders there. Very cool.
No, that's for the bombs, mate.
No, there's a Sidewinder on the wingtip there. Is it not?
Yeah, it's a Sidewinder. So that you can see in
That's not a side.
No, that's not a side.
That's
Not
not
that
a
one,
side
sorry.
winder.
Yes.
I told you.
further down. is it?
Yeah. No, I can see what...
There's two different marking loadouts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the GUB-24 and the 14.
Oh, whatever. I don't know enough about ordnance. Like, it's a real... like, I know the jet guys get pretty serious about their ordnance.
Yeah.
They do.
And, you know, there's different generations of ordnance. So you got, like, the same... what looks like the same missile, but a different generation of it, so that you have to paint them different colours, and there's different decals that go on them.
Yes.
Jeez,
Even though they look
it's
identical.
another... It's another...
It's almost a kit in itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Miniart have announced that they're going to be doing a ZIS 2 and a ZIS 3, which is basically two different types of fuel guns. That's going to come with crew and limber to make up all three combined with ammunition. These are anti-tank weapons, and apparently it's due out in December. And what's really cool is it comes with a gun emplacement, all in 1/35th scale. So for those of you who enjoyed building your...
Actually, it doesn't come with a gun emplacement.
It doesn't?
No.
Oh, you're right, it doesn't. I beg your pardon. The older version came with a gun emplacement,
Correct.
which
and
has
that's
been
now-
discontinued.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. You still might be able to find it around on
swap meets or
a few places.
Evil Bay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, those are... I like the way they've done the tyres.
Yeah.
So the way they've done the tyres is not... They haven't given you rubber ones. They've given you, like, multiple rings that you have to sandwich together
Yep.
to create the tread pattern.
Yeah. And I've used that in Dragon kits before.
Yeah.
And that works really well.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Looks really good, yeah.
And it also
Definitely
means that, you know, if you want to create a flat spot at the bottom, you can sand that
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, just sand it flat.
You can't do that with rubber.
No rubber tyres. You got to try and cut. And that can be
No, you
really difficult.
Just clean them up, just put them on.
Yeah.
whatever. You know, if you really want to go the extra mile, you just replace it with resin if
Correct.
there's an option.
Totally agree.
All right, this is an interesting little announcement from Bronco Models. They're doing a MiG-15 Faggot and a MiG-15 Faggot Bis. Faggot being the code name that NATO gave it, of course. What scale is that going to be in?
Should be
48 scale.
Yeah, you have to wonder what if the NATO code names were done to sort of make them look bad.
Of course they were.
Well, yeah. Originally,
Of course they
it was codenamed the Falcon.
Oh, was it?
Funnily enough, but NATO thought, nah, we're going to change that name,
Yep.
and so it was.
Have you noticed they're always F names?
Yeah, for fighters and B for bombers.
Yeah,
Right.
It's, nomenclature. Is it the word he said?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fighters are all named after F And bombers are all named after
Fish bed, fulcrum.
Yep. Bear.
And the A stands for attack.
Backfire.
So you got the
I've always liked that. I quite appreciate that they gave the term bear to that particular plane.
Yeah.
because it does look like a bear with
It
wings,
is a
doesn't it?
big
It does.
bugger.
It is worthy of that name.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
This looks like it's going to make a great looking little kit. So if you like your F-15s,
F-15s.
beg your pardon, MiG-15s, it's definitely something you should get.
Yeah.
The colour boxings include 6 colour call-outs.
Yep, for all North Korean aircraft.
Yeah, and
Well, this boxing is anyway.
and for the MiG-15 BIS, there's also colour call-outs again for North Korean as well. Oh, there you go.
So if you're into your Korean War,
Yeah, I hope you like red and bare aluminium
Silver. Yes.
yes,
because that's the name of the game.
that's it.
Yeah. Now, this is particularly interesting. I came across this, and I think it's worth it spending a few minutes on it. I'm assuming it's Quinta Studios.
I think that's a misspelling. I think it's Quinta.
Quinta Studios. They do interior 3D decals for cockpits.
Yeah, I've seen those. They look all right.
And I'm struggling, and I'm actually fascinated by this because they do instrument panels and all that sort of stuff, but it's already pre-coloured, pre-painted, and it's in 3D. And I would love to know how they do it.
Using a 3D printer, Dave.
I don't think so, because how do you then colour it at the same time?
I know that they're flexible. They're like rubbery.
Well, I think it's a
They
vinyl.
can be bent around 180 degrees.
Yeah, it's type of a vinyl thing. And it comes on a backing similar to what you would see a decal, and you've actually got to put it in water to release it from its backing paper.
Oh, so it works like a decal.
Yeah.
No, then you have to glue the part down into the kit. So you need
Right.
like a white glue they recommend.
Oh, yeah, yep.
My problem with them is they still have that sort of grainy look to them that you often find with the Eduard coloured photo etch.
All right, yep. That's just through the printing process.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast, you know.
But why would you bother going with kit decals or with photo etch instrument panels now when you can get these fine reproductions that are ready just to go? Even the seatbelts they do in this printing version.
It's
Actually-
lazy modelling, in my opinion. You basically.
I don't mind the seatbelts. Not the way they've done them in that photo there, but the material, the flexibility of them might be really suitable for.
Plus, they got that
for seatbelts.
thickness which is better than a decal or
Well, there's those
otherwise.
super fabric seatbelts that they have to contend with, and the advantage of them is that you can fold them in a more convincing way if you're good at it.
Yep.
But again, the problem with that is that you only got the sort of look on one side of it.
Yeah.
There's still white on the back sides.
Yep.
Well, we're looking at we're on the Modelling News website, and we're looking at some of the pictures there, and these just look absolutely gorgeous. And I'm keen to find a subject that I can have a crack at just using.
You'd have to
these.
build a plane, Dave.
Because
Yeah,
I
know.
used with the latest Spitfire build, the Tomeo one I used the I think it was the Eduard pre-printed resin instrument panel, and it looked great, but I felt like I cheated because all the work was done. All you had to do is just glue it in place.
Yeah, but is it any different to just using a decal that comes in the kit?
It's so different. It's chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
And it's all
I mean,
about
ultimately, none of us are going to actually get out the microscopic paintbrush and brush all the little lines on each dial
Well, like we used to.
for no visible, because the canopy plastic was so thick you couldn't see
So,
through
yeah,
it.
exactly. Yes.
So you're wasting your time.
Exactly.
Anyway, they do scales: 1/35 scale, 1/32 scale, 1/48 scale, and 1/72 scale. And it's definitely something that I recommend that everybody at least go and have a look at because it just looks sensational to my eye.
Yeah, I think the primary sort of drawback at the moment is that their range isn't all that big. They've done like a number of jets, and they've got like a Yak 3 and a few other bits and pieces, but there's not a huge amount of
Great
range.
deal in there.
Everybody got to start somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. The question is, will it sort of take off like the Eduard photo etch had, or will it sort of
Be a flash in the pan.
yeah, like, oh, that sounds cool, and then when people try it, maybe it's not so cool.
Yeah.
I might have to buy a set just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Might have to build a plane.
Moving on. We have the Falcon has written in with his latest list of what's new in the modelling world. And first off, he writes under aircraft, Micromere are working on something a little different. They have just shown CAD renders of a 1 to 1/44th scale LZ-13 Zeppelin, which has got my eyebrows raised. I'm particularly interested in that. That sounds like a great little kit to get.
Had to be quite large, actually.
Yeah.
Even at 1 to 144 scale, it'd be quite large. They were a big thing, those Zeppelins.
And apparently after releasing the E version, Rodin are about to release a 1/48th scale of the Arado, AR68F. A&P models are expanding their line of 1/48th scale Cayman Husky helicopters with the HH-43 version. Mm-hmm. ICM have announced that they will soon be releasing a new tool 1/32nd scale Tiger Moth. Geez, that'll be decent kit to get, wouldn't it?
Yeah, previously, I've got a 32nd, but it's the old Matchbox one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't realise Matchbox did one in 1/32nd scale.
Yeah, those really big long boxes that you only really, once you put all the sprues to one side, you realise they only needed half the size of the box.
Zvezda have slowly been releasing the contents of their 2021 lineup, and at the time of writing, the only aircraft announced so far have all been in 1/144th scales. But there's interesting ones nonetheless. It's the Boeing 757-200, the Airbus A320neo, the Airbus A350-900, and the Airbus A321neo. So for all the airline guys out there, they're going to be pretty excited about that news.
Would you ever build one of those? Civilian airline is not your thing?
No, not my thing, I don't think.
I'd only ever build one. Ed Force one.
Ed Force?
One.
Air Force one?
No, Ed Force one.
What's Ed Force?
Iron Maidens. Boeing.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
The release of Kinetics 1/48 scale FMA 1A58 Pucara is imminent. There will be 2 decal options provided in the kit, one for the Uruguayan Air Force and one for the Argentine Air Force, with decals for the example that was used during the Falkland War.
They were a deadly vehicle, those Pucaras.
They look sexy, actually.
Not just that, they were a deadly vehicle.
Were they really?
They were very good
aircraft.
Very good aircraft, yeah.
Okay. It didn't last too long on the Falklands, so Brits made very short chop of them.
Well,
and wasn't there an SAS raid onto the airfield as well?
Yes, there was. That destroyed most of them, yeah.
Okay.
Because they were that worried about them. They had to destroy them on the airfield because they didn't want them getting anywhere near the ships.
Armour releases. Copper State Models are working on another obscure World War I armoured vehicle. The latest one is to be a Russian Bolt armoured car.
Oh, cool.
Zvezda have announced some new military kits for 2021. In 35th scale, there's going to be a Tor M2 tracked missile system, a K4326 cargo truck, a Tiffan Typhoon K, I've got no idea what that is, a BRDM-2 combat reconnaissance vehicle, apparently that's ex-Dragon tooling. There's a UZ3809 van, which is a Soviet version of the combi van, a Ural 4320 truck.
That'd be a big thing. Those Ural trucks are never small, are they?
No. A T-62 Soviet main battle tank and a heavy infantry fighting vehicle TBMP T-15 with the 57mm cannon.
There's so many Russian things coming out at the moment. Isn't
There is a lot.
There's always a plethora of Russian vehicles.
Also, still in 1/35th scale and still from Zvezda, they're doing a M4A3 76 Sherman. That's interesting.
Yeah, 76mm gun.
In their 1/72nd scale range, they've announced an SU-122 self-propelled gun, a M4A2 Sherman, a Bumerang infantry fighting vehicle, which I've never heard of.
I think it's an 8x8. You know, one of those
8-wheeled jobs. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
A bummerang. The backside that keeps returning.
Vespid models have announced a couple of new 172nd scale kits heading our way. There's going to be an A34 Comet Mark 1B and a Flak Panzer 8 Mouse Super Heavy AA tank.
That'd be weird to see. Wonder
In what scale?
In 72nd scale.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
A mouse flak panzer. Wonder what that'd look like. What if they look
No
like
idea.
like the Panther Corleone or something like that?
Possibly. In maritime news, at last he's got some ship models in his announcements. Thank goodness, Mr. Falcon. Maritime, Oz Models have announced a release of the 1350 scale resin kit of the Oberon class submarine.
Oh, yes, right. I still haven't ordered mine yet. I better
Now,
do that.
interesting, one of our listeners have actually purchased this and
Yeah.
sent me some photos.
I saw it, though. It looks quite good.
Oh, looks absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to have to spring and buy that.
And just on another news, Starling Models has got, I think, at last count, had 18 HMS Nadirs left before they're all gone in 1 to 350 scale.
Really?
Yep. So I've got to snap one of them up. They're about £75 each plus postage.
What are you going to use it for?
You can convert it to an Australian one. I think they were River Class, I think.
River class, yeah.
Yeah, and we used River Class, so
We did.
a bit of conversion, and I'll be able to make one of the Australian ships.
So you said the Oberon class is a resin kit.
Yes.
Does that mean that the hull is like one piece?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that must be not like really nice for a submarine model, huh?
Oh,
It takes like all the difficulty out of it.
I've got a lot of submodels resin that are one piece.
You're still going to cut the bottom off from the sort
Casting
of sprue,
block.
Oh, the
block.
casting, yeah. But still, I mean, like not having to clean up a seam line running down the middle of it, it must be nice.
Oh, it is. It's, it makes for a fast build.
And I saw an Oberon the other day, last week.
Out in Western Port Bay.
Yeah.
That thing old rusting out there.
Yeah, rusting out in the middle of the bay. There it is, this big black submarine. I thought, what's that doing out there? I spoke to Dave, and Dave said, yeah, it's an Oberon class. I thought, oh, okay.
Well, it was busy rusting.
Yeah.
It was
What
supposed
a
to be.
waste. What a waste.
Well, it was supposed to be used for a museum, and there were plans to have it on land, but the local council kicked up all sorts of things, and it just hasn't gone anywhere. And sadly, she's just sort of sitting out in the salt water, rusting away.
So if you really want to go see one, you've got to go up the country where they've got one. What's the name of the town? Begins with a B.
Holbrook.
Holbrook.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got one sitting there. It's really weird. You're out in the middle of nowhere, out in the country of Australia, and you're driving through Holbrook, which is a small country town, and what's in the middle of the town? A massive Oberon-class submarine. Yeah. It is just the weirdest, surrealist thing you'll ever see.
It is. Continuing on, Zvezda have 2 new kits for release in 2021 in the 1350 scale category. They're going to do a Scale Project 2220 nuclear-powered icebreaker.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some photos. That looks really cool, actually.
That would be uber cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're also doing in 1/144th scale a Shmuka-class Soviet World War II submarine.
Oh, the SHCH class.
Yeah, I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah, I think I've built one, but that was the old... I think that was the very first Micro-Mir submarine they bought out. And, yeah, it showed.
But this is in 1/144th scale, so that's an interesting scale to sort of do it in.
Yeah.
So, slightly larger than 1350, but slightly smaller than 72nd.
Yeah,
You go
exactly.
right in the middle. That's it from the Falcon. And thank you very much, the Falcon, for all that information. Well, that's it for all. That's all I've got for What's in the Modelling World. What about you guys?
Well, I don't know if it's old news or new news, but I only found this out this week. I think it's a company called Tony Models, and they're doing 1-to-1 scale Panzer 3 or 4 tank tracks.
I have seen them, and I'm fascinated by
Me
them.
too. There's only about 6 or 7, probably 8 pieces all up. So it's 1-to-1 scale track link.
Yep.
And it even comes with a track pin and everything. And you can buy multiples and module together and paint them up, and it looks like you get an authentic set of tracks, even though they don't weigh as much. But on their catalogue, what's being released is Sherman tracks, T-34 track, Tiger track, and Abrams track.
Wow.
And that's just the beginning of their catalogue. So it looks like if it kicks off, you might be finding more of these 1-to-1 scale projects coming on the market.
So I'm thinking it must be blow moulded rather than injection moulded.
From what I saw, looked injection moulded to me.
Solid, do you think?
Yeah.
Gee, it must cost a bit. Because it's a big hunk of plastic.
Mm.
And you need a lot of paint to paint them.
Yeah.
Julian doesn't get it.
I don't. I really don't. What's the point of having...
A single track link.
And it's not a real one.
Well, what you do is you have like your cabinet with all your tank collection, and in the middle of all your German tank collections, you have like a Panzer 3 or 4 tank track, and that gives the people an idea.
Of the
There's a
actual size,
model.
yeah.
Oh, that's how big the real tank track was.
Right. So what would happen if...
Plus, it's a lot cheaper than trying to find an original one on eBay.
Yeah, but that's like saying, here's my plastic molded imitation real wheel from a Spitfire.
Mm.
I was like, okay, well, it's just a wheel.
Yeah.
Some
it's-
people
and
like
it's- and
some
it's-
people like
that.
this.
Some people
It's
like
sort
that
of
thing.
a touchstone for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If it was the real deal, I would understand. But a plastic imitation, I don't get it. It's not a model anymore.
Yeah, well.
Well, you got to glue it together and paint it. It's a model.
No, that's not what makes a model. Model has to be in a different scale.
All right, well, these aren't models and they're representations.
Replicas.
Replicants.
Yeah, replica might be a... Well, I don't know. It doesn't have to be out of steel, but not official manufacture. That's what makes it a replica.
I don't know.
No, not sure.
Although they do
But
say
someone will know.
although they do make like what 1 to what's it, half scale replica Mustangs and things.
Come on, Julian, get on board the fun train. Come on.
No fun allowed.
But they look weird. Like I've seen a few of those half-scale Spitfires and Mustangs at air shows, and they look kind of weird.
Yeah, they do.
To be honest, I always expect planes to be smaller than they really are.
Mm.
So when I saw like a 2/3 scale or half scale Mustang, I was like, okay, it's a Mustang. And then I saw the real Mustang. I'm like, that looks just ridiculously large.
Oh, you wait till you...
That looks like larger than you actually need it.
Yeah, it's like when the first time you walk up to an Avenger and you go, holy moly, that thing's giant.
See, I never thought the Avenger looked like that. I always thought the Avenger looked appropriately sized.
Yeah.
But I always find Mustangs to be absurdly large compared to say a Spitfire.
Oh, geez, you're gonna poo your pants if you ever walk up across an original P-47, then, aren't you?
Yeah, probably.
It's like, whoa!
No, it's really weird. Like I remember seeing, like the last time I saw a Mustang, I was just sort of standing there, sort of looking at it with this funny look on my face, thinking, "What on earth is inside that thing? It must be just like a warehouse, like it's filled with empty space."
And then you actually get to see how big a Rolls Merlin really is.
What the engine almost looks undersized on the thing.
Well, the engine's bigger than your car.
Jeez.
Yeah.
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 It's bigger than you. You got an MX, an MX-3 or 5 or something?
MX-5,
Yeah, it's bigger than that. So, what about you, Dave? You got any new news?
No, that's it for me.
So
Julian does.
Apparently, I found out that the new Meng GT40 is a snap together kit.
Really?
Yeah. Has that sunk your ship?
Well, it depends.
It might be able to build into a decent model.
Yeah, if it builds into a decent representation, no, it wouldn't bother me. But if it's going to make it into a toy, well, then...
Well, you have to remember that their Mustang was snapped together.
Oh,
right?
the P51, yes.
Yeah, and that builds into a decent kit.
Well, also, you did their Lexington.
Yeah.
That was snapped together,
Yeah.
and that built into a decent kit.
Yeah.
So,
I
Wait
wouldn't
till it comes
rule
out.
it out.
Yeah.
But it might be worth sort of just sitting back and
sitting
seeing
back,
how
how other people
yeah.
tackle it and what their thoughts are. But yeah, that's interesting. It's snapped together, eh? Well, there you have it.
Because I don't mind them catering to the non-modelling crowd as long as you can still make a decent model out of it.
Totally agree. And a GT40, well, you can't get more iconic than that anyway.
Yeah. Although, the only car that had sort of topped that is the Daytona, right?
Oh, the Cobra Daytona Coupe. Oh yeah,
That's the number one for you, isn't it?
I do have a 124 or 125th scale one in my collection.
Yeah, but you've got there are some sort of construction hurdles that you have to deal with, isn't there?
No, it's the
What
old
was it? Was it the paint or something like that?
I've got the paint.
Okay, you've got the paint.
I've got the paint. What the main thing I was is it's curbside.
Oh,
So
you need
no
to scratch
motor.
build a motor.
I need to. Well, I do have a twin overhead cam 289 in the right scale that I've snaffled off an old kit.
Okay, but you're going to have to fabricate the rest of the internal stuff.
Yeah, like do the firewall, open the bonnet.
Well, that's actually going to be easy, isn't it? Because it's all just boxed out.
Yeah, it's all boxed out, but still there's a lot of stuff in there. It's all different angles and so forth.
Yeah. You'll get there eventually.
Oh, yeah. It's just one of those projects that will take a little bit of a time, but because the chassis is all brass rod and white metal.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, so you got to all get that in, make a jig for it and glue it all together. And the interior is like vinyl, photo etch badges for the bodywork and so forth.
We're holding up Dave.
Are we?
No, we're not holding
He's
up.
waiting for us to finish.
You two just rabbiting on there about things. Just before we do our final sign off, don't forget to listen to the other plastic podcast. Let me start again. Don't forget to listen to our other plastic modelling podcasts. First one being Plastic Model Mojo with Dave and Mike. Of course, you've also got the Scale Model podcast with Stuart and friends. Stuart's having a rotating sort of chair with different people coming in. The Plastic Posse podcast with Scott, Doug and TJ. And we've got a new one here now, which is called Just Making Conversation, which is based out of the UK. So they've got 2 episodes out, so have a look for them on your podcast feed. We'll be back in a fortnight. So from me, it's goodbye. From Ian?
Sayonara.
Oh, sayonara. You're not doing yours?
Sayonara. Photo which is your friend.
Thank you. And Julian?
Yeah, okay. I'm going to get some more coffee, I think.
All right, guys. We'll be back in a fortnight. Thanks for being with us.